So number 3 in my creativity hack, and informed by my art process, and what I've noticed by turning my noticing new things onto noticing my process, is number 3: find a way to capture it. So one of the things that I've noticed about myself is that and I've always known this, I love colour. But I've also noticed that colour is my way in of remembering things. So as you see from behind me, I have a large number of books and files behind me. And one of the things that I started noticing was that my way of remembering a book that might be helpful for my mind trip work was remembering the colour of the book. And I'd done that without even noticing that that's my way in. I went on a course with a lady called Helen Witten many years ago, probably getting on for nearly 20 years ago now. And it was a course around creativity and creative thinking. And she was the one that first introduced me to mind mapping. And we did an exercise within the room. And I use mind mapping a lot in terms of the way to help me in terms of the way that I capture my information. So something to look for you. But the other thing, we did an exercise where we had to remember a whole load of information, and she used a mind map as a way of capturing that information. I wrote my master's dissertation off the back of mind maps as a way of helping me to structure my thinking and my argument and the different tangential thoughts that were going from that. But the other thing that was really interesting about the exercise was that she used colour, she used pictures and images as a way, and it was a really neat way of remembering things. So here we're talking about both noticing things, so that was hack 2, was about noticing, but 3 was about capturing. So how do you capture? How do you record so that you can lay that in the back of your mind? Now, it might be that by just standing and noticing and savouring might actually build that memory for you. And that's one thing that definitely I do. There's a lot of research around emotional salience, and that the more you can make it real, and the more you can be there, and the less you're off, and the less you're on automatic pilot, the much more likely you are to remember something. So really noticing and savouring, it can be really helpful. Mind maps are also helpful. As an artist, I sketch. So by the process of sketching, that can be really helpful. I don't always sketch. Sometimes I might just stand and watch and notice. I also use, from a work point of view, experimenting with different ways of capturing. So at the moment I'm using video as a way of capturing. I also use iPhone notes. I use notebooks, and I also now try and draw as well as write. And I've noticed for me that by making it much more visual, that helps me to capture and helps me to create links and tangential links. So I invite you to play with how you capture. How do you capture thoughts, inspirations, ideas, so that they're accessible for you, that are sitting in your mind to make those links. As there's a lot of view around creativity, that creativity is about making links between unusual combinations. So, but for our mind to do that, we need to notice to start with, and we need to capture that noticing.